I've been asked multiple times about pricing consulting services. So, how much do I charge clients for digital accessibility consultation? On the screen with me is a document. The first bullet point is $90,000 a year for a job. So, the reason I have this is because you can offer consulting on a full time basis for a salaried position. And if that's the case, I think $90,000 is a solid salary. And then the range I have is $55,000 to $195,000. And then if you're operating as a small business, I have $150 as an hourly rate for a consultant, with $50 being on the low end and then $195 being on the high end. So one note here is I would offer consulting in multiple hours. And the reason why is because if you offer a single hour, your hourly rate will be diluted because of the frictional cost of dealing with clients, um, payments, etc. So what you want to do, and keep in mind, there are levels to this, right? And there are different types of consultation that you can offer. In one, let's say you could be reviewing a website in one scenario, and then in another, you could be helping someone craft an accessibility policy or even create an accessibility program. So there are different ways to offer consulting that help different clients. The next bullet point I have is to inform clients. So you want to make sure they know what you can do, how you can help, and then anything that you don't offer or any way you can't help them. So it's important to be self-aware, know your experience level, know your knowledge level, your technical expertise, etc. But also don't undervalue yourself. So keep in mind that the basics, the essentials are desperately needed. Many people don't even know what the web content accessibility guidelines are, let alone have looked at them. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that simple is powerful. Just by redirecting people away from wrong decisions or wrong paths, you can save them a tremendous amount of time and money. So keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind just how much, as I talked about, time savings there is, energy savings, right? Instead of diverting resources, instead of creating some elaborate plan, you help them, you point them in the exact right direction. So also be aware of other skills and attributes that you have that lay outside of accessibility. So one could be communication. It could be that you write well, that you speak well, that you can converse well one on one or one on a few, or that you are very clear in your messaging. So clarity is very important, and it's something that it is lacking everywhere, right? We need people that are clear and easy to understand. There's a reason why the Four Dummies books are so popular. It's because people just want something that's easy to understand and clear. Also, if you can simplify, so if you can distill many words into a few, or complex subjects into easier to understand subjects, that is extremely valuable. If you can eliminate fluff, there are so many webinars that are 50 minutes that could easily be 10. There are so many books that take 5 hours to read that could be read in 45 minutes. If you can do that, that's also valuable. And then the next sub bullet point I have here is sales. If you, and this is not necessarily selling products or services, but getting buy-in. Getting buy-in is a common obstacle with accessibility, and it happens in organizations. So there will be a department, and they've been tasked with accessibility, but they have difficulty convincing whoever is making the decisions that accessibility should be a priority, and we need to have resources allocated to accessibility. So if you can help convince others about accessibility, that is extremely valuable. And then also help with information. So you could be researching, you could be providing reports, you could, and really the real value in information is your ability to take that information and apply it to the specific situation that your client is in, right? So the information is out there, but you can provide value not only by curating it and distilling it, but also applying it to that specific organization. So that's very, very helpful. And then another sub bullet point I have here is adaptability. If you are able to converse with different roles, so you would very likely be dealing with a legal team or general counsel or compliance officers, and or designers and developers. And if you can converse with these different types of people and being aware of their different backgrounds, that is very helpful. You could, as I mentioned earlier, you may be working on an accessibility program or policy. So if you can help write that, again, that's very valuable. Also, if you have knowledge of the various laws and regulations, that can be helpful. And not so much because it affects the how you make the digital asset accessible, but because so many. This is where customization comes into play. There are so many different entities that are concerned with different laws because they may apply to them, right? It might be 508, it might be 504, it might be the AODA, it might be EN 301549, ADA Title 2, ADA Title 3, etc. So if you are aware of them and you can talk about those with familiarity and some level of expertise, that will be helpful. And I can tell you that that is commonly sought after. And then, so the last thing I want to add here is there's a person named Jay Abram, and he has this principle called the strategy of preeminence. And it's similar to fiduciary duty, but fiduciary duty is a legal obligation. And this strategy of preeminence really comes down to putting your client's needs and interests first above yours. So in this situation, you're not worried about selling the client. Rather, you're talking to the client as if you would anyone else that you weren't trying to sell. So, like, you're explaining this to a family member or a friend, and what exactly they should do, how they can save time and money. And so, the more on the principle, generally a business should aim to understand and empathize with the client to provide the best service uh, or product possible even before they ask. So you're getting at exactly what a client needs ahead of time and really putting their interest first. So if you do that, it's going to have a residual effect where even if you don't get the sell the most dollar amount, someone is going to you're going to build a rapport. Trust will follow from that, and from there, clients are going to continually come back to you because you are someone who is reliable, delivers excellent quality products and or services, and can help them generally. So I think that is also very helpful. But as far as pricing, again, it really comes down to your level, what you feel comfortable with, your background, your expertise, your knowledge, and how much you can help. And then also be aware of the value that you are providing.